Hello again. Yes, so we're talking about law and really getting to the heart of it. It's the nuts and bolts of the secrets and the spells, and there's no other word for it, the magic of law. And the secrets are all contained in this document, the certificate of birth. And you'll see in the birth certificate there's lots of boxes and boxes. There's to subconsciously box us in once you do 12 and subdivisions and boxed in and having to stay inside the box, I can assure you. Now, as with all of this, they must disclose, they must tell us this, but they tell us in a secret way. They let us work it out. If you can't work it out, then that's your fault. If you don't teach you this in school and instead distract you with geometry, really interesting life skills like that, rather than learning about law and language, then that's your fault. Old chap didn't go to Eton. So, they certainly teach the posh kids all about law, you can be sure. If you notice, the name and surname, this is where this legalese language comes in. The surname is always in all of these surnames in capitals. It's Thomas. Now, what would your English teacher, even back in primary school, what would your English teacher say to you if you wrote your name in capitals? Now, David, we've been through this before. And known the name of a place, a person, or a thing. It's a capital T, small h, small o, etc. This is the secrets. And in that spell book we mentioned earlier on, Black's Law Dictionary, the truth is revealed if you know where to look. It says a capitis maximum diminuto, if I remember rightly. Last and again, you see, meaning what it says, capitals maximally diminish. And I quote, your name spelt in capitals means you have the status of a slave with no rights whatsoever. And you can quote me on that from the Black's Bible of Law. And this is clearly not you. It may have the same English spelling as you, but it's not you. It's a different person. It's called a legal fiction, also known as a straw man. You've also stick man. You put your sticks together, you have capitals. Another point, NHS and BBC are in capitals because that also denotes a corporation. As you mentioned earlier on, about monetizing people's future earnings. And if you're a company and you're owned, and this is the other point, if you look at, I know it seems rather strange, but these people, these somewhat psychopathic minds who've invented and continue the law, don't think normally like myself or yourself. Also, capitals is a foreign language. The English language spells in capitals is known as dog Latin around all the churches in Italy and Rome. You see these letters large. This is known as dog Latin. According to the American Book of Styles, this is a foreign language. In addition to that, you cannot have, it is illegal to have two or more languages on a document. So here you have dog Latin, your name in capitals, and you have English, rendering this a fraudulent document written under duress when you're of least sane mind. You're clearly not saying you've had a child, or you elated or surprised or whatever it might be. Do you sign this when you don't know what you're doing and don't understand. Also, when you look at the paper, you can't see it from here. If I look at it under the light, it's bonded paper. What does that mean? Well, there's a watermark on it, watermark of the crown. With your name bonded between two pieces of paper, again, in the mind of these people, that means you're bonded to them, owned by them, honestly, in the subconscious mind. But they've shown you it's there, if only you know how to look. Also, on many of them, there's an informant. Question 11. Informant, name and surname. We'll come back to that. What an informant, of course, is a grass. Someone who informs on a crime. So how is your birth possibly a crime? We'll go back not so long ago. If a child was born and the mother didn't know who the father was, it was very unlikely she'd be able to afford to bring the child up, and so passed it on to the state, to be owned by the state, as in an orphanage. This is what the term bastard child means. Nothing to do with being married, but not knowing who the father was. So your crime, according to these people, is still like that. It's still informed on the crime of your birth, meaning you must be owned, turned into a corporation in capitals, and owned with a vast number up the top corner. There's always a number, which we'll go into later. This isn't just the 91,000 certificates. This means something else. Okay. So there's all this going on in a simple one-page piece of paper, which seems quite innocuous. The main key being your name in capitals means you are a slave. Don't take my word for it. It's in Black's Law Dictionary. And if we are owned at birth by these people because we have registrad the birth, again, more Latin spells here, okay? The registration of birth, it says. Registar is actually two words in Latin. One, regis, the crown, and tare, to give to the crown. If you register something, you give it away in law. So once we sign this, or for your car, the DVLA, as section 5B points out, you do no longer own your car. They do. You are the keeper. Likewise, the child is returned to you for safe keeping. Technically in law, the Crown think they own everyone. Because of this piece of paper, which we've signed, given our sign of nature to prove we're alive, not dead. Signature, sign of nature. So a lot to take in there. I could go on all off the cuff this, but ad-libbed. And will later date. Thanks for listening to that. One love.